on my Area 51 line. You're on the air. Hello.
Welcome to the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, where what you've known as reality will be shattered by the truth. Krista and Brandy will lift the veil from your eyes, revealing what has either been hidden or denied you for eons. Hello, everybody. I am not Krista, and I am not Brandy, and it is just going to be me and Marie tonight because, man, people are out of pocket. People are got Brandy's fighting gremlins because of the weather and the whole 9 yards. And I surprised the hell out of Marie when she came on and she's like, "Who are you? Who are you? And what did you do with the girls?" And I assured her that they're safe in the closet back here, tied up. So. It's just going to be me and her getting to know each other. We've never met. We talked like 3 minutes. So it's going to be a good conversation because we're both researchers. We've already had a little conversation about what we run into and what we deal with and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a good conversation. So don't y'all run off, but be sure and share this out so we can get this place packed. I'm going to bring Marie up here, and we're not going to advertise the conference or anything. We're going to get going. Hey, Marie.
Hey, Tex. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Yeah, it's just you and me tonight.
Hey, we got this.
No, we do, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course we do.
Maybe.
What's going on now? Oh. Mm-hmm.
As soon as she got here, and I can't apologize enough. I owe you a steak dinner for this. I mean, it's just
a steak dinner, okay.
I've got about 9 different things going on. I told you that, and it's just crazy. So I know we talked a little bit backstage. You got kind of into this off the paranormal side of it.
Yes. I've been a paranormal investigator for over 30 years. So it started out with ghost hunting and did that for a while. I still do it. I still do all of them. Right. Ghost hunting, and then it evolved into UFOs, aliens and UFOs. You're doing sky watches and stuff like that. And and then I had some friends who were really interested in Bigfoot. And I was like, I don't know about that. But, I tried. I decided to go out, and so we went out. And what got me hooked was about 7 years ago. I was in the Ocala National Forest during a one-night campout with about 15 people. And about 1:30 in the morning, heard a huge, long vocalization. Just one. Ooh. It was the coldest night of the year, and it was extremely long and loud, and we all just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So I was like, oh my God, they do exist. Oh my God, I want to do this. I want to find it. I want to see one. So that's what got me hooked, was that hearing that vocalization. It was maybe quarter of a mile, half a mile away. It was really loud, and it sounded like the kind of like the classic Ohio Bigfoot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was huge. It was big. And Ocala is, one of the hot spots in Florida for activity. So it was just perfect timing.
So I know we talked a little bit about, as researchers, we can't, if you're going to do cryptids, we inevitably run into other stuff that we can't explain, right?
Yes.
And so, but I want to get back to kind of your roots a little bit before we get into the Bigfoot thing.
Okay.
What got you into the paranormal side of things in the first place? I mean, were you like really, really like a young kid, and then like everybody else, been kind of into this from the get go, or
no?
An experience? Go, oh,
yeah. My experience was when my mother died.
Oh.
And she came back to me about 5 weeks, 6 weeks after she died, because I was, she was the love of my life. I was very distraught. I was super upset. I cried every single day. I was, and I just couldn't get over it. I felt like I was going to have a nervous breakdown. Is
right.
What was happening. And so one night, 5 or 6 weeks later, I was sleeping and I woke up to something sitting on the bed behind me. I was like laying on my side. So it was behind me. The bed went down. And I was like, I didn't move. I was just, I was awake. I'm like, what the heck? So the bed went down. And then I felt a tap on the shoulder. And I heard my mom say, don't worry, everything will be okay. And that's what she used to do to wake me up. She would come and sit down on the edge of my bed, and she would always tap me on the shoulder. And that's exactly what she did. And that's what got me into the paranormal, was the experience with my mom.
Well, that is definitely that's diving in feet first. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and I quit crying after that. I was okay after that.
And it's amazing, how we get, and a lot of people say that they won't come and visit you. They're not able to, and I'm like,
yeah, they are.
But what are all these people running into if, because my mother-in-law, saw her husband, and now I have never seen a relative, but I've seen some other weird stuff, but I just like yourself and my mother-in-law, I'm like, if it's not them, I get the paranormal, these entities, the trickster entities can mimic on what you want, but I don't know. I just don't think somebody or an entity that is trying to trick you and have fun at your expense is going to make you feel, at ease.
Right.
That math don't add up.
No, that was my mom. Absolutely. Because everything that happened that night is what she used to do. And right. I heard her voice say, don't worry, everything will be okay. And because she knew, she came back, she saw probably that I was distraught. I was getting ready to have a nervous breakdown and stuff. I needed help. So she came back and helped. And I had one other encounter with her. I know it was her. It was probably, only about 10 years ago. And here at my house. And I know it was her. It was around the holidays. So, but, I was doing paranormal investigating for a long time. And my best friend's a psychic medium. And, her and I would go to Savannah and go ghost hunting. And, and she lived in an incredibly haunted house. Going to her house was like going to Disney World. It was like, there was always something that was going to happen. You just didn't know what it was. But wow, she had an incredibly active house. Very active. So it was fun. She's like, hey, you want to come over? Yes. Yay. Because I knew something was always going to happen. Something was going to play in my hair. Something was going to mess with the chair I'm in. Something on the table. We were going to see something. Oh, yeah. Her house was just off the charts with activity. So it was a grand old time.
That is, I mean, it's really amazing to me that you can have these experiences, because so many people are traumatized by having these experiences and have such a hard time dealing with them, but there's some people out here, and I think me and you are among the lucky ones that have had the positive encounters, and they're not all positive, So how did you, now you said you went from doing the whole paranormal thing to into UFOs. How did that happen?
Same thing. Because my friends, the people I hang with, they're all into the paranormal and aliens, UFOs, and
so you're like me. You hang out with a bunch of weirdos.
Oh yeah, absolutely. all the fun people.
Right.
So, back when I started with ghost hunting, it was easier to find locations to go investigate. Now it's much harder because, these places don't want people in there, or they want to charge you a lot of money now to go into places. So it's just getting, at least here where I'm at, it's hard to find places to go to. So then it was like, okay, then I kind of, started doing sky watches with my friends.
Right.
Just watching the sky, looking for UFOs, or just looking at satellites and, the constellations, the stars, the planets. But again, there has been some strange stuff that's happened during that process. And what's really interesting to me is, because I do Bigfoot, obviously, because that's what I am now.
Right.
But I've also done the UFOs and ghosts. And all three of those have orbs in common. I've seen orbs in all three of those modalities. So that is mind-blowing to me. That's you find the exact same thing in all three of them. I've seen orbs. I've seen 2 orbs while Bigfooting.
Well, see, and this is, it's a topic that we've been talking about here lately, because I'm fairly certain that the orb, I don't think the orbs are Bigfoot. They're connected, but I don't think they're connected like a lot of people think they are. I think it's more of the paranormal, the spirit side of things. And I think they're attracted to these creatures, just like they're attracted to think about it. If you were floating around out there, one, I'm going to be out in the woods all the time because that's where I love it. And think about the energy, because it's a positive energy out there. You're among nature. You're in nature.
Right.
So I think it would attract these spirits or these supernatural beings, these light beings, whatever you want to call them, different forms. And yeah, I think they may go. They're able to go in and out of these portholes and stuff. Portals, sorry, that and stuff. But I don't think. I know a lot of people feel like the Bigfoot and the Orbs have a conscious connection. I just think they like being around this stuff.
My first orb encounter was crazy. It was so crazy. And it was down in South Florida. I was out with some investigators, Bigfoot, skunk ape researchers.
Right.
Nighttime, we were at a location undisclosed. And so we were sitting underneath a picnic pavilion, And everybody had their own piece of equipment. You know, I had my thermal monocular, but everybody else had something, you know, night vision, more thermals or whatever. So my monocular in particular, I could only look through it just for real, like maybe a minute, because it dilates my eye, right? So then it's like, so I'll just look, scan the tree line real quick, and then I'll just put it down and let my eye readjust to the darkness, right?
Right.
So I'm sitting in the dark, and I'm just staring at the tree line. And for some reason, I'm looking at the tallest tree in the tree line. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just looking at it. Now, I'm going to start off by saying there were no fireflies.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm staring at the tallest tree, and all of a sudden, in front of the canopy of the tree, a huge, big, huge orb. From where I was, it was at least the size of a basketball.
Oh, okay.
It was bright LED white. It just poof. And I was like, whoa, what the heck was that? And then everybody else was like, what? So they missed the initial, you know, whatever you want to call it, opening, right? When it came. So after that initial blast, the big poof of an orb, gigantic, then it changed down to about a softball size. And it started floating all along the tree line. And it's just kind of like fading in and out. So now everybody's watching. And we're watching this thing just go along the tree line. I'm just mesmerized. I'm like, what the heck is this? And then it goes behind some bushes. And I'm like, okay, it's gonna come out from behind the bushes now, right?
Right.
What comes out from behind the bushes is a little green dot like a firefly.
Huh.
And then it comes right at me. I was like, oh, look, it's a little green, you know, firefly. And I'm like, wait a minute. Oh my God. It came within it came right to me, within 3 feet of my face. And then it turned and went right to where my shoulder was, disappeared, gone, done.
You know, you keep saying he.
I know, right?
Well, yeah, and see, I think that means something, because I mean, you're going with your gut, and it's like I had kind of I got screamed at one night, and well, I mean, you know, I get screamed at all the time, but I got screamed at one night out when I was researching, and it's hard for me to explain, but for some reason I automatically thought female.
Right. Isn't that funny?
So I kind of get the same thing with you, you know, and I think it probably was a male whatever spirit or whatever, you know,
but
because I think we get those vibes off.
How it started from that tree, and it made its way all the way to me. Yeah. And disappeared. I mean, it came straight at me, and I'm like, number one, I've never had any kind of firefly come directly at me before.
Right.
And it just went right here to my shoulder, right here, and poof, gone. And then about 30 minutes later, heard a huge crack. It sounded like a baseball bat. Bam, like splitting in the woods. About 30 minutes later.
Yeah, see, I think these things hang around these critters, man. I really do.
And then the next night, my team member Mike and I saw another orb in another location, and this one was about the size of a baseball.
Right.
And because I was getting kind of bored and I wanted to take a walk. It was at night, and I said, come on, Mike, let's go take a little walk. Let's go out in the field over here.
Right.
So we walk out to the field and we look to the right and we're like, what is that? What is that light? What is that light doing over there? So this light, like I said, was about the size of a baseball. And it was just going back and forth, back. It looked like somebody was out there searching for something. Like they had a flashlight and they're just going back. It's going back and forth. And Mike is like, there's somebody out there. And I got my thermal. I'm like, no, there's nothing out there. He's like, there's got to be a guy out there with a flashlight. And I'm like, Mike, no. I said, look at my thermal. There is nothing out there. But we're watching this light just going back and forth. It looks like it was searching for something in the woods. It was really odd. And it freaked him out because he's never experienced anything like that before. But that was the second night. And that was weird. It looked like it was looking for something. I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, we had me and Brandy and a couple other people were all together, and we encountered, I don't know what else to call it but an orb. Mm-hmm. But we couldn't see it with our naked eye. We could only see it on the thermal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, on the thermal. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And it was a solid black heat signature. Mm-hmm. And it was about that big. And it was hovering about a foot, a little bit more off the ground. And it was kind of moving around, and it was like undulating like a lava lamp bubble, Mm-hmm. And I said, well, let's see what happens. And I walked towards it, right? And it moved away from me. And then when I came back, it moved back with me. Mm-hmm. And then it just slowly cooled off and cooled off and cooled off and cooled off and disappeared.
Wow. That's weird. Yeah.
And this was like over a course of several minutes. We were handing the thermal back and forth and trying to look at it with our naked eye. We couldn't.
Right.
It was just on thermal, but it was hot. It was hot, whatever it was.
Yeah. That's cool.
And that was right after me and Brandy had her first sighting. I mean, minutes after.
Nice.
And then a few minutes after the orb thing, we were headed back out of the location, and we had something come crashing through the trees chasing an armadillo.
Yeah, right.
I guess he was looking for some possum on the half shell that night for dinner or something. But and when we were there, it turned around and busted back through the trees. But so yeah, that was a great night. I mean, but I don't know, these orbs, and that got me to thinking, with the whole just catching it on thermal, not being able to see with their naked eye. Mm-hmm. There's no telling how many of these things are sitting right next to us that we don't know. And to me, that kind of explains the whole cold feelings that we get. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, when you'll get like just a part of your body will get a chill, or you get a cold spot, But we've even had radiation spikes in just certain locations. It is crazy.
Right.
So let me ask you. When you went out, your first experience Bigfoot hunt or skunk ape hunt. Mm-hmm. Okay. What was that like? Did you have any? I mean, what was your aha moment? Was it your first time out? Was it later, or what?
For Bigfoot, it was the vocalization.
Yeah.
Vocalization.
Was that your first time ever to go out looking for them?
No. It was the very beginning, though. I had just kind of like, I think I went out with a couple friends of mine in Ocala 2 or 3 times, and maybe I went walking through a park or something like that. But
Right.
it was definitely the beginning. It was
Yeah.
definitely the very, very beginning. That was the aha moment. And from there, then I was like totally dedicated. You know, I don't know if you know that I've had my team for about 6 years, and we go out every weekend
That's that. See, and there's
for
a
the
lot.
past 6 years.
See, I wish I could do that.
Hmm.
You know, I don't get to go out that often. That's why when I go, I tend to stay for like a week.
Yeah, right. To make up for lost time. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
exactly. You know,
And it's not like the whole team is going out every weekend.
right.
Somebody on the team is out
Yeah,
doing research every weekend. Most of the time it's me, but you know, it's whoever on the team that, you know, whoever can go out. We go out all the time, every weekend, and we have our certain areas that we'd like to go to check, see what's going on, blah blah blah. And we'd like to find new areas. So, you know.
So have you had that? Oh my God, sighting? Yeah.
No.
You haven't?
I've had an encounter. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a major encounter in Jacksonville, Florida, at Jennings State Forest last year, end of February. I found a 1/4 mile trackway of prints
Oh, nice.
that were the prints were 16 inches long. They were about 6.5 inches wide, and with a 54-inch stride.
Mm.
And they went for 1/4 mile.
Jeez Louise.
So then I found that on Friday night, the first night of our camp out there. And then we kind of like marked it with some sticks because it was hard to see because it was kind of like sugar sand, which sugar sand is like beach sand.
Right.
And so, but it just rained real lightly. So it was a little bit pitted, a little solid, but I was like, God, these look like toes. And I'm like, where's the next one? Okay, the next one's over there. And looking at them, like, oh my God, these are footprints. And so we marked them with sticks just so we could find them the next day. We go back to our campsite, and Ruby and I were car camping in our cars at our one campsite. Mike and Chris and Mike's son were in tents at the next campsite. So Ruby's in her car. I'm in my car. I'm trying to sleep. And typically I don't sleep the first night wherever I'm at. So I'm just laying there in the back of my car, and probably around 3, 4 in the morning, and I have shades on the windows and everything.
Right.
I'm trying to sleep. I can't do it. So I'm just like laying there, and I hear boom, 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 boom. Something bipedal, loud, heavy was walking along my car, the driver's side. It was just walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then it pushed my car when I was in it. And I was like, whoa, oh my God. Because I'm like, who the heck is walking that heavy next to my car in the middle of the night?
Right.
And I'm trying to, rationalize what it is. Okay, maybe that's Ruby. I was just like, why is she walking so loud? And why is she walking next to my car in the middle of the night, And
right.
But when it pushed the car, I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So nothing else happened. After it pushed my car, it was gone.
Right.
So when it became daylight, because like I said, this is like 3, 4 in the morning. I have shades on the thing. It's pitch black at the campsite in the woods. There's no looking out to see what it was. No way. So I get out of my car and I go over to where Mike and Chris are at their camps. There where their tents are. And Mike comes out. He's like, oh, God. He goes, I didn't sleep at all last night. He says, something big, bipedal, was walking around our tents. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. So I told him what happened at my car. And he's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, no. So did something see me out there when I found the prints? That it followed us to the camp? And intentionally bumped my car? I don't know. Maybe it was there. It saw me. I don't know.
But I mean, I know you when something like that happens, you go through your head and you're trying to figure out what it could have possibly been other than,
Yes. Right. I was.
But, and I know in Florida, y'all got a bunch of stuff down there that a lot of people don't have.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in the area where you were in, what could it have been?
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. And so I did not know anything about this place in advance. Nothing. I was like, okay, yeah, we're going to go camping. We're going to go Bigfoot research. Okay, whatever. So, but I knew nothing about Jennings. But apparently Matt Moneymaker does from the BFRO. He is very knowledgeable about Jennings. And so I did not know that at the time. So I waited a couple months and I decided, and we did everything. We took pictures, videos, 3D scans. We did measurements. We did casts. We did every possible thing that we could, So 2 months later, I decided, you know what, I'm going to report it to the BFRO just because it was such a cool thing that happened. So maybe 2 weeks later, I had an investigator contacted me, and he lives in the area of Jennings. Right. So he interviewed me. I gave him all the information. I gave him the coordinates of where the road was, the Forest Service road, where it was. And he found it. And he investigated it. He measured. We estimated it was a quarter of a mile. He measured it. It was exactly a quarter of a mile. And he was like, yeah, he goes, you had a legit encounter. Everything that I told him, he was able to verify. So then he turned it over to Matt Moneymaker. And so Matt Moneymaker posted it himself on the BFRO's Facebook page. And he was talking about Jennings, and he's telling the story. He said what a great job me and my team did on documenting what happened. And he says, that's what that place is known for. That Jennings State Forest is known to have a Bigfoot that likes to walk around through the campground. And I was like, oh my God, I did not know that at the time, but it explains everything, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because he knows of several encounters there. I'm not the first one, but, he wanted to share it because, we did a good job documenting it. Right. We had a great experience there. So he shared it back in May. So that was cool. And then I was on I made the cover of Bigfoot Times newsletter.
Well, congratulations.
Because of the track wave prints and everything. When I found the prints and I posted it, Daniel Perez is like, who found those prints? I said, I did. He goes, I want to interview you. So he put me on the cover. I was the featured cover story in March. Me and my team.
So you're officially a cover girl.
Yeah. Yes, I am. I'm also on some other publications, some other magazines. So it's all good. It's great. It's been a wonderful experience. But that encounter was fabulous. So I have not seen one. Not yet. Team member Mike has. He's seen a couple of them before, but I haven't. So
have you been able to do go like anywhere else and do some research?
Oh yeah, wherever I go. If I'm out of town, if I go to like every year I go to Phenomenon, which is Utah. When I'm in Utah, I go to Ocala National Forest. And when I was there, the conference is 4 days. I was there 5 days. The 5th day is when I go out into the forest, and I have a local researcher that takes me out with a couple other people, and he just takes us through the forest. And I found a footprint out there, and we found some couple teepee structures, some cool arches, but the footprint was really interesting because we initially found a collection of, down trees and stuff that we stopped to take a look at. And so one of the ladies that was with us, she's like looking on the ground. She goes, "Look, there's like a faint impression. Looks like a footprint here." And I'm looking at it. I don't see it at all.
Right.
I'm like, okay. But I decided to walk across the road. Just look around the road to see if I could find any footprints. And sure enough, I found one right on the edge across the road from where that structure thing was.
Right.
It was right on the edge of the road because the road's kind of clayish, like, so where it builds up, like if they plow through it and then it pushes the dirt on the edges, there's like little mounds. There was a nice print right there. That was about 15 inches. And so it's like, wow, that's really cool to find the print.
Yeah.
In addition to that, but yeah, I found teepee structures 2 years in a row there.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And so last June went to Washington State because Mike Aguilar and I were featured speakers at the Medellin Falls Bigfoot Festival. And so it was our first time in the Pacific Northwest. So a couple other team members went with us. And David Shealy was there too. And every day, we were there for a week. We went and investigated every single day. Found a bunch of prints in a stream that was drying up.
Oh. Yeah.
And what a great time that was. Beautiful. My God. Everywhere you look, it's like, where do you even start out here? Where do you even start researching? Because everything looks, it's all woods, right?
Right.
And it was, what was really interesting was we had our magnetic stickers with our team on the side of the Jeep that we had. Everywhere we went, people were coming up to us. "Oh yeah, I've seen 3. Oh yeah, I've seen 2. My mom saw one yesterday." I mean, it's like every single person we spoke to in Washington has seen one at least. Every person. It was God, I'm living in the wrong place.
but you and I know that that's all misidentifications, or they're making it up. Yeah, I mean, because these things don't exist.
Yeah, go to Washington and you'll
I have.
It's like
and I've had some pretty gnarly encounters, and I mean I've been cheek to cheek with these things.
Where do you research at?
Right on the border of Oklahoma and Texas, right on the Red River.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And it's oh man, I mean it's stuff that's happened down there is just insane, and everybody knows what And I don't want to go into them because they've all heard me talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, one of our trackers is that's on our team is in the chat, Gary Spike Sr. And but we pulled some handprints out of the field
Nice.
and they were on my truck,
Mm-hmm.
and the handprints. The greatest one is a handprint and a forearm print,
Mm-hmm.
and it's muddier than my truck, and you can actually the dermal ridges are there. We've had it looked at by fingerprint experts, and it's like, I don't know what it is, but it's not human. That's the only thing they'll tell me.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my researcher friends, he's part-time on my team. He's down south, and twice they've had finger swipes.
Yeah.
And a creature slammed their hand on the driver's side window when they were in the car. Him and his friend. So, my friend is in the driver's seat and his friend's on the passenger side, and they're just talking. They're just sitting in their car. Bam! Scared the daylights out of him. He thought he was going to have a heart attack. And then it walked around the car, and it kind of like did this finger swipe along the car. So, because the car was really dusty. Yeah. So there's fingers, drags. It went around the car, and it slapped his friend's side of the window. So both of them got whammed by something slapping their car.
And they couldn't see it?
No, it was pitch black.
Oh.
Well, the only thing they could tell was his friend was talking to my friend, and he's looking at him. He's like, why is it so dark outside? Because he's looking at it through his friend's window, right? He's trying. It's pitch black. Not knowing the creature's there. And that's when, bam, it hit. He slammed his hand on the glass. And then it became normal. So it was just pure blackness because it was standing right there. They didn't know it. So they had also some fingerprints.
Right. Nice.
That were on. They didn't even know it was there. They called me that day, that night, or the following day. They called me to tell me all about it. And I'm like, there's got to be fingerprints. There's got to be. If he hit your glass, and they're like, no, we don't see it. Well, while we were talking for like an hour and a half, the sun was setting, and the sun hit the glass just right, and they saw the fingerprints. They're like, wait a minute, holy crap, look, we can see them now. And he didn't have a fingerprint kit with him. And so they had to drive home. Well, the drive home, on the interstate and stuff, it, distorts the print. It'll move the dust. It'll move the oiliness of the fingerprints. So they tried to lift the prints. They didn't turn out that great. You could kind of see the dermal ridges, but it wasn't like as good as it would have been if they would have done it there at the site before they started driving. So crazy.
So,
but finger swipes.
How many tracks have you been? Are you one of these people that cast tracks?
I do everything. I do everything.
You got quite a collection going?
Quite a collection. No, we could have. We probably have about 10 or 12 casts.
Oh, nice.
We have 2 from Jennings. We tried casting the best ones we could, but it's really hard to cast in sugar sand. And the 3D scan of the print turned out fantastic.
Oh, very nice. That's a great tool in our tool belt now. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, definitely. And but yeah, we have about 10, 12 prints. Casts. There's one of them that's really cool because the toes they're kind of like, they look like this. They're really weird looking toes. The other ones, because our substrate is difficult.
Right.
We're dealing with sugar sand, or you're dealing with pine needles, or you're dealing with oak leaves. So, you hope to find something in mud, but chances are it's not going to be there. Most of the time, it's usually somewhere else in sugar sand. Like Ocala National Forest is nothing but sugar sand.
Right.
Jennings, a lot of it is sugar sand. Unless you're in the swamp, then you've got mud. But
So do you think that y'all are dealing with the same critter in Florida that they are in the Pacific Northwest, or I am down here? I mean, because I know a lot of people, because to me, they're as different as you and I. That's the way I see it.
Correct.
Yes. They're not all going to look like Patty.
Yeah, look at us. We look totally different.
Exactly.
Everybody has a unique look about.
So I think there's there's probably like what we call races, I guess. I don't know what else to call them. I don't want to call them breeds.
Mm-hmm. Well, so Florida, you've heard of the skunk ape, right?
Right.
So my team and I, we tend to believe that we have two different kind of creatures. That we have a skunk ape and we have Bigfoots. And the reason why we say that is because the reports are very different.
Right.
Very, very different.
Well, the skunk apes tend to be a little bit ornery. The skunk apes tend to be a little bit more ornery, don't they?
Well, yeah, because so Tampa is like in the middle of the state. It's like the halfway mark through the state of Florida. And so anything south of us, starting at Mayaca State Park down to the Everglades, reports are very different there. The creature there is the skunk ape, which the reports are they're 5 to 7 feet tall. Yeah. They're very thin, less hair, and they got 4 toes, not 5 toes.
Really?
And they're more aggressive. Yes. They have 4 toes. And north of Tampa and north is more of the Bigfoot creature, which is 6 to 9 feet tall, reddish, brownish hair, big.
Yeah.
Still kind of less hairy, but much bigger. 5 toes, not 4 toes. So
the ones we run into
reports are extremely different.
Right.
Like if you go down south, you don't find structures. You do not normally find structures. I have found, I think, two structures south of Tampa. One was at Mayaca, and it was a teepee structure that was 1.5 feet tall. It was itty bitty, little.
It's not like they're playing around.
No, it was the building materials available to them. Down in Mayaca, there's not that many trees out there. It's more palmetto palms and stuff like that. So if you want to go find a tree branch, you got to walk a quarter of a mile to, a hammock, whatever has trees in it. So there's sticks. There's sticks around. So it looks like something just took what was available to it and built it based upon what was available to them. So so that teepee structure, like I said, was about 18 inches tall.
Yeah.
An old friend of mine in Minnesota, he found the exact same thing I did that was about 2 feet tall. It was a little teepee structure. Huh. Same thing in Minnesota. Very interesting. And then the only other thing I have found down there was what looked like a hammock. Like it was in the Everglades. It was a cluster of trees. It was in the water, of course, but off of a dry trail.
Right.
I was walking down the trail with my team, and I look over and I'm like, God, that looks like a hammock. It was made out of vines, thousands of vines. It was
Wow.
at least 10 feet long and about 8 feet wide. It's the perfect place for something to climb up there and sleep. To get out of the water in the Everglades.
Pretty dadgone.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the ones that really, as far as structure, I'm not a big structure guy, but the ones that really get my attention are the smaller ones, because they seem to be more intricate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they actually weave the small limbs into each other and everything.
Yes.
But I'm not real sure, but they tend to be found closer to the ground, you know, and I'm really wondering if it's, and it may just be 2 or 3 little saplings pulled together and woven into each other, you know, and I have to wonder if that's the juveniles learning.
Yes.
And
that's, we did a weekend camp out outside of Ocala at a campground, and a couple guys found arches, right? These are really cool arches. These are like turned and arched over, really incredible arches. And they found 2 sets of those, but there was a little teeny tiny one, maybe 10 feet away. It was, a little sapling was bent over, and it was secured by some sticks or something like that. But it was a smaller version of the other ones that were big.
Right.
And that's exactly what we thought. We're like, wow, I wonder if there was a little, a young juvenile that was learning.
Yeah.
Watching, look at what dad or mom's doing over there. Let me play with it. So there was 3. And one was tiny, and the other 2 were normal.
And I think the same thing with the, what people call glyphs, they find the sticks and laying on the trails and stuff. I think it's the same thing. I think it's juveniles playing around. What else they got to do?
This past weekend in Ocala, I found, I was walking with a couple team members. We're just walking down this trail, and one of the guys lives there. And he's like, I don't know where this trail goes. Let's just walk. So, okay, we're just walking. It's about 3 feet wide. And it's kind of like a couple places you have to duck down to get through.
Right.
And we're walking like a mile and a half. And when I get to this part, I don't know why, I just turned to the left.
Right.
And just started going through the trees. I'm starting to look around the trees. And then I look down, sure enough, there's an X on the ground with a little sapling that's been woven in underneath the X. And then 6 feet away from it, it looks like a glyph where you have 2 sticks and another one on top of it.
Right.
And it was both of those were right next to a game trail. And my team member is like, how did you even know? How did you know this was here? I said, I didn't. I was just walking along, and I was like, I'm going to turn left right now. I was just like, I just turned and started walking, and there it was. And they were like, how did you do that? And I said, I don't know. I just did. And look, it's there. But the glyph and the X with the pin down, little sapling that was pinned down and woven in with the X on the ground.
Have y'all, because we'll find this, and this is another reason I think it's the juveniles juking around while, they're bored and my mom and dad are doing whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they're they're in babysitting mode or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, the others are hunting or, you know, whatever.
Right.
But when you find these little small structures and everything and these glyphs and all that kind of stuff, if you look, you'll also find like little holes in the ground. Like they were, you know, just putting their finger in the hole or digging it out with a stick or something.
Well,
they could be digging for bugs. They could be just bored, you know.
And that, though, I think is a primate characteristic, is that they'll take sticks, jam in the ground. They lick it or whatever. They jam in the ground to get the bugs on it, but they'll jam in the ground, make holes. Yeah. And something like that was found in Mayaca. But there's some other researchers around the country that have had the same thing happen, where they'll find holes with sticks in them, stuck in the ground. So, but that's, if you look up like the primate characteristics, that's one of the things they do is, you know, tools, right? They use a stick to do something with.
So, do you think this? Now I know it's speculation. A lot of this stuff is, you know, we just have to take the evidence that we're presented with and try to draw a conclusion. But if you're researching and you're worth your salt, you have to leave your conclusions open ended because they're always evolving. You go in there with it's this and that's it, and you're cutting your nose off to spite your face.
Absolutely. But you're directing the outcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're like, okay, well, it can only be this because it did that. No, you need to have an open mind.
Yep.
Because we don't know what it is. We can only speculate. But if you keep open to it, then you're going to experience everything, and hopefully you can come to some kind of conclusions, which, like I said, what my team and I believe is that we have both types of creatures in Florida, and that's because the reports and the behaviors are totally different, and the physical characteristics totally different. So,
you know, it's... And the way you describe the skunk apes and the way they act and the way they look and all this kind of stuff, and then just north of them, you have these others, right? I have to wonder if maybe the skunk apes are more of a primitive version of what the others are. I mean, you know?
Because just think of where they're living. Okay, they're living in the Everglades. The Everglades... Everything in the Everglades is out to kill you.
Yeah.
Okay? Everything's out to eat you, kill you. 100%. So, yeah, they're more aggressive. You know, they have to be to survive. Think. You got alligators, crocodiles, rattlesnakes, Burmese pythons. You know, you've got
crocodiles. You know what I mean?
Poisonous spiders. You've got everything you can think of, like I said. Everything's out there to kill you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they're more aggressive down there.
Well, and let's be honest. If you were walking around there covered in hair and 190% humidity at 110 degrees, I'd be pissed off too.
Absolutely.
You know, I wouldn't be in a good mood at all.
No. I mean, when David Cheely had his infamous skunk ape sighting where he filmed it going through the sawgrass, that was July 8th. And my team and we did a whole research study to see if we could we did two reenactments to try and see if it's possible that it could have been a guy in a costume. Right. It was July 8th.
Yeah.
The feel-like temperature, because of the humidity and the heat, the feel-like temperature was 109.5 degrees.
Yeah, no, that ain't happening.
That's not a guy in a suit
out
there. running for over a mile
Yeah.
in the sawgrass and mud and water, at least 2 feet of water. No way. There's absolutely, we couldn't do it when it was dry, when it was the dry season. We could.
And another thing, and you mentioned the sawgrass, that stuff's no joke.
Oh no.
That stuff will cut you to ribs. Yeah. So they've got to have, their hide or the hair covering or something, because they go through that stuff like it's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, we don't have so much as sawgrass here. We have Johnson grass, which will cut you. Of course, you run through a cornfield, it'll cut you up.
Right.
But it's not, like I said, it's nothing like sawgrass. It's that stuff is just, you like Swiss cheese when you get out of that stuff.
Oh yeah, that stuff is like 3 to 5, 6 feet tall at least. So it's pretty miserable.
Okay, so when y'all are out there, I know the Everglades, that's probably one of the toughest places to do research.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I haven't been to unfortunately, I want to go. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Sounds like I'll be looking you up when I get in that area.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll go down there. I'll take you down.
So what different approaches do you find yourself using? Because you went and you talk about totally different climates. You went, and your stuff in Florida, and then you go to the Pacific Northwest. What did you use anything different or
no?
No,
obviously I don't need my snake boots in Washington. I just have normal hiking boots for there. But when I go, when I'm typically researching here in Florida, we wear snake boots because we got rattlesnakes, we got moccasins. We've stepped on them. We've stepped on them before. So
they'll drop out of trees on top of you and stuff. Yeah.
And but if I'm going to the Everglades where I may be walking the water, then I have rubber boots, because of the water. I don't want to. My snake boots are not 100% waterproof, and so that's the only thing. It's harder to research in the Everglades because you're dealing with water. I don't like to walk through water. What are you going to see walking through water? Not much. Yeah. You have to find dry. You need to find dry trails, which is very difficult to find out there. And winter time, this time right now is the dry season. So this is the time that you would go down there and you could potentially find a place where you could walk that's dry.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, summertime, it's water. No, there's no point. So, and I don't, when we go down there, we're like scrounging around. We'll drive around at night looking for, of course, skunk apes and pythons. But, during the day, you're just kind of like trying to find a dry place to walk, which is very difficult.
And it's, people would think, you're walking around in a swamp, you're going to find footprints galore. But they're so hard to pick out because of the underbrush and the swamp grass and all that kind of stuff, and the water fills them in so quick. I would imagine it's almost impossible.
Yeah. So for us, this is the time of year because we're dry right now here too in Tampa. And this is the time I really like to go in the swamps because you can actually get further into the swamp than you've ever been able to do before. Right. Usually it's filled with water, right? So dry season, yay. Now I can go look in the mud and I can go further, deeper into these places. And we have found some prints, but not as many as you think, but have found structures out there. There's this one, my favorite swamp to go into. It's outside of Tampa. And 2 years in a row, we have found a square structure.
Really?
Standing up in the exact same tree. 2 years in a row.
Huh.
So they're standing up, 4 branches. They make a square.
Wow.
Exact same trees, exact same location in the swamp. What is that? Right?
Yeah. Well, now let me ask you this, because we've gotten this question before, and I'm not in Florida, so I don't deal with hurricanes like y'all do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But when this weather hits and you get such a what is it, a surge, that goes back into these and fills these areas up so much, where do these things go, do you think?
They're just gone. You mean the creatures themselves?
Yeah.
So the last storm, Hurricane Milton, that went through, that was going to be a direct hit to Tampa.
Right.
And like a day or two before the hurricane hit, there were reports of Bigfoots that were up around Brooksville, Florida. Brooksville, Florida is a higher location, and there's these hills. It's a very hilly area. Beautiful, but it's very high. And there's been at least 2 sightings a day or two before the hurricane. So they probably feel it, and they're just heading for high ground, right?
Right.
So,
I mean, what would be your suggestion if somebody was going out? Well, one, I don't advise people to go out in an area they don't know, okay, at all. Because you can get really, really freaking lost.
Oh yeah, been there, done that. Yes.
Yeah.
I started out by myself, going out in the swamps by myself, and I'll still go out in the swamp by myself if I don't have anybody to go with. But I didn't know. I've never been, like a super outdoors person. It just started out with me, just going to a park, and just walking down a normal trail. Once you get used to doing that and get used to the idea that something's not going to jump out and attack you, blah, blah, blah. Once you get comfortable with that, then you can go a little bit further. But yes, it's very easy to get lost. Been there, done that. And I don't recommend getting off a trail. Stick to the trail. And, but I did it too. We've all done it. We've all gotten lost. We've all done that kind of stuff.
I've gotten turned around. I mean, it's.
Yeah. I was on the Florida Trail in the Green Swamp. And the Florida Trail where I was at was like 2 feet wide. And it was through some palmetto bushes, palmetto palms. And I was walking along, everything's great. And I looked to the right. I'm like, ooh, that looks like a structure over there. Big mistake. I go to the structure. I'm taking pictures. I'm walking around the structure. And then I'm like, uh-oh. Where's the trail? I've lost my bearings. I didn't know what direction the trail was in anymore because it all looked the same.
Oh, wow.
I've been walking around and I was like, oh no. So no cell service, of course.
Right.
And so I had a little indicator on my phone. I could see where I was located. I could kind of tell where there was a road, but I had to walk through a mile of palmetto palms, which that is Snake Central. And I was like, oh God, please let me make it. Please don't let me get bit by something. And I made it, thank God. My car was about a half a mile down the road, but totally got turned around because I was too busy looking at a structure. I lost my sense of direction.
So let me ask you this. As far as, because I think if we're going to talk about, I mean, it's fun to talk about the research and all the encounters and everything, but I think it's very, very important that we also put it out there on how to be safe when you're doing this.
Yes. Yes.
And it's like we were talking about, like you just saying, Florida is almost like Australia. Everything wants to kill you and eat you, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Especially now that y'all got all these invasive species, and that's just insane.
Yes.
But what y'all go armed, or what do y'all carry for protection? Or, I mean, do y'all go non-lethal? Do you do lethal? Do you do both? What?
We're not typically armed. Like, I don't typically carry anything. Like if team member Mike, or Bob is with us, they usually have knives. Someone may have a gun every once in a while. It depends where we're at. Like, say, Ocala, where you have a lot of black bears, you need to carry a gun. And if you're down in the Everglades, you need to carry a gun because there's panthers also are out to get you. And so, not that you want to kill anything, you have to protect yourself. But to me, the scariest thing out there is seeing another human. That to me is the scariest thing, because it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing in the woods. What are you doing in the woods? Because think about, if you are wanting to hide from something, you're going to hide in the woods. So I don't like running into other humans out there. That's scary to me.
Gotcha.
You don't know if they're mass murderers. You don't know why they're out there, what they're doing, So that's scary to me.
Yeah, that's what I worry about more than anything else is the human aspect of it.
Yeah, especially as a woman. Being
Absolutely.
out there and you come across a guy out there in the woods. Oh, scary.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that's one thing that we take so freaking serious is safety. I mean, because when we take people out on expeditions and stuff, and it's like, I think people get out there, especially if they've never done it before, and that they're like, I've taken people out that's never been camping, never been out in the woods or nothing, and they really don't understand what the possibilities are that you can run into. And I'm not talking about Bigfoot or anything. It's very, very simple stuff. And as well as I do, tick check is very important.
Yes.
It's it's I think probably the one mistake that I see so many people making is they want to take off and they don't know where they're going. They don't have a freaking compass, and they have like a little bottle of water.
Right.
No. No.
The heat, like summer, down here it's brutal hot. I mean, Texas is too, but I can't. I struggle because it's so easy to get heat stroke or heat exhaustion out there. I can't drink enough water. So I have to try and chill some towels and try to keep cool, because like that, you can have a heat stroke or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're not
And-
hydrated enough, you're not
Yeah.
trying to keep yourself cool enough. So
Thank you, Joe.
that's a scary thing out there. And I've had that happen too, where I've came this close to passing out
Hmm.
from.
Yeah, because it'll sneak up on you.
Oh yes.
You know.
Oh yeah. And you're supposed to drink all the time while you're
Right.
out. When you feel thirsty, it's already too late.
Yep.
You're supposed to drink whether you're thirsty or not.
Yep. Yep. So when y'all been dealing with some weird low temperatures for your area.
Yeah, right.
So how's that affected it? How's that affected it?
Yeah, well, when I went camping last weekend, it was 26 degrees in Ocala National Forest. Oh my God, it was miserable. But it's hard for us to do research in that. It's hard for me to do research in that. We tried. I mean, I had like 12 layers on and still froze to death. But didn't see anything. Had our thermals, had high-powered high-powered thermal binoculars, and I have my binocular, and didn't pick up anything. But we did a little experiment with a death whistle. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before.
The what?
Death whistle.
Death whistle.
Death whistle. I think it's from Mexico or something like that. It's this weird whistle that's made out of clay, and when you blow it, it sounds like a screaming banshee. It's the creepiest sound. It's very loud. It's the creepiest sound you've ever heard in your life. And so we were playing with it just to see if we would trigger anything to answer back, right? Because it's a strange scream. And we set off some dogs or coyotes with it, but nothing responded to it. But it was an experiment we were trying just to see if it would draw in something, because it was such a strange scream. You know, it's so loud. It sounds exactly like a screaming banshee. And creepiest sound you'll hear.
See, and that sounds like the way I described this when I told you earlier I got screamed at. Yeah. That's the way I describe it. It sounds like a banshee.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was, and I don't know. I mean, it will stand the hair up on every inch of your body when it happens.
Yes. Yeah.
But I haven't got roared at. I've been growled at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was growled at twice in Washington.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got growled at twice, and it was during the day, and it was right after we found the prints in the stream. And Mike and Ruby went to the right, and his girlfriend, they went to the right. I was the only one. I went to the left. And I'm just walking along because I'm looking for more prints, right? We just found the ones in the stream, so we're like looking around some more. And I was hearing this, and I was like looking around. I couldn't see anything. You know, I was like, what's making that? What's growling? And did it twice to me. The second time, I was like, you know, I'm going to turn around. I'm going to go back to them because I don't know what made that growl twice. I couldn't see anything. And I was like, yeah, I think I better turn around and go back. But yeah, it was like a just a very deep growl. That didn't sound right. It was,
Yeah. It's hard to, mimic even me with my, and I've got a deep voice, but it's, I can't do it justice at all.
Yeah.
Because when I got the one time that I really got growled at, we were up in this area and we were on the back side. We was in a cemetery and was going down the back side of the cemetery, and I spotted a game trail, and there was 4 of us, and I had the lead, and we were single file. And I said, hey, let's go down this big game trail. I said, hey, let's go down this game trail. And I took 2 steps towards that game trail, and I felt it as much as I heard it, and the guy in the back goes, it's time to go.
Yeah. And because I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't see anything. What's growling at me? It could have been up in the tree. I didn't even look, but I was just like, it could have been a bear. It could have been a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very deep growl. It didn't sound like a cat, but it could have been a bear somewhere or a Sasquatch. Right. I couldn't see. And it wasn't like too thick, but it was very close. Like I said, the second time I was like, yeah, I'm going to turn around here. I'm going to go join the others because I don't need to be attacked in Washington. So,
right.
Mm-hmm. So,
it's not, but you know what? I've never felt like I was, like in danger.
mm-hmm.
It was more of a, with me, it's I get excited,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, wow, which is probably stupid, but.
No, I'm the same way. It's like, ooh, what was that? That's cool. And then the second time I'm like, yeah, I think I better turn around. I think it's time to turn around now. Because I just didn't know. But typically I'm not scared. When I'm out there doing my research, even when I started going out by myself, nothing has scared me out there except for humans.
Right. Yeah.
Other than humans, I haven't been really scared. One time I got stuck between some wild pigs, some wild boars.
Yeah. Now I was just fixing to.
I got stuck between a male and a female with babies.
Oh.
And I was like,
not a place you want.
I was in a swamp and I was like, oh, shoot. And I'm looking, the male was to the left and the female was to the right with all her babies. And here I was. And I was like, oh, no. But they were busy eating. They were rooting. Yeah. And so I just started backing up slowly because they have bad eyesight, apparently. And,
they can't see real well.
I just kept backing up. And then I was like, okay, I could turn around now and I could just start walking quickly. I didn't want to start running because I didn't want to alert them. But they were too busy eating, thank God. And they didn't bother me. That's a relief. But other than that, no. I'm not scared. I'm fascinated by everything. I'm fascinated by the structures and the footprints and the strange things that happen up there. Hearing things. I love it. I love it all. I'm not scared. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, doesn't it scare you? No. No, I love it. I absolutely love it.
But one of these days, you're going to hear about one of us, and it's going to be, attack. Uh-huh. Right. But I'll tell you this. I've absolutely loved talking to you, and we're going to have to keep in touch because
definitely.
I think if we ever got to just sit around telling war stories about this kind of stuff, we'd have a long conversation.
Oh yeah, we definitely would. I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years every weekend, right? So I've seen a lot, experienced a lot, found a lot. So Just about it. The only thing is I haven't had an actual sighting of one.
Yeah. It'll happen.
Everything else I have. So it'll happen. It'll happen. Just got to get the right timing. Be at the right place at the right time.
Exactly. You know, and it's, but you know, I mean, we both know researchers have been at this for decades and never had a sighting. They've had encounters, but they've never had a sighting.
Correct.
I honestly, I cannot stress how honored I feel, because I've been blessed, and I don't really look at it that way, that I've had 2 daylight sightings.
That's wonderful.
You know, and but it's because these creatures, they're amazing. They're just utterly amazing. They're majestic.
Did you see them in Texas, or did you see them in Oklahoma?
Well, where I researched, it is literally on the Red River. So we're right across from Texas. They go back and forth. Okay. You know, when the river gets up, they'll hightail it over to Texas because it's high ground over there. Mm-hmm. And then when they're, you know, then they'll come over to the Oklahoma side, because it's where I investigate, research, whatever you want to call it, where I camp. That's where I just camping. You know? Right. It's on the Oklahoma side of the Red River. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's where both my daylight sightings and all my encounters have been, you know. Unless you want to get into Dogman, and that's a whole different ball game. Yeah. Because that was the first thing I saw. So yeah, anyway, that's nobody wants to hear that conversation. We can talk later about that, because this is your show, not mine. So I do want to get your take on that, though. What do you think about the whole Dogman thing? Because I know a lot of people in the Bigfoot world, they're like, nah. You don't think so?
No. Mm-mm. No, I'd have to see one. I would have to see that.
No, I trust me, I get it. I say all the time, I wish I had seen a Bigfoot the first time. Mm-hmm. It would have been a hell of a lot easier to explain. But this damn thing was 25, 30 feet in front of me in broad daylight. I was walking. It ran across the road. I mean, dove over our fence into our property.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see something like that, but so far I haven't. So,
well, I got to tell you, it's, you know, and the thing about it is, one of the, I think probably the bigger thing is when, you know, when we have these encounters, when we have these sightings, people are like, well, how come you saw all this and I've been doing this for years and I haven't seen it? You know? Right. Or how come I've been, you know, you saw these things and I've been out in the woods just like you have, and I've never seen anything. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the fact that once you experience something, any kind of the paranormal, whatever it is, it opens your mind up.
Right.
And you actually start to notice things, and yes. You know, maybe these things when you were out hunting and these, you know, you heard that tree, that branch break or whatever, you know, or that you saw a tree fall over at a distance, you know, you just saw the top go away, you know. Mm-hmm. Maybe that wasn't what you wrote it out to be, because, right. You know, because if you think about it, there wasn't no wind, you know. So maybe, you know, because I honestly think that if you've went camping in these national parks and some of these state parks, and, you know, or you've been, you know, hunting all your life or whatever, you've been around these critters. Mm-hmm. You just didn't know it, and you didn't see them because you weren't looking for them. Right. And they didn't want you to see them.
Right.
Because I believe there's 2 ways that you see these things. They either want you to, or they screw up. And they do screw up on occasion.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of them, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them have that mindset of, if I can't see you, you can't see me, mm-hmm. type thing.
Right. Right. But it's, you know, you I mean, that's why I'm out every weekend, because I'm trying to increase my odds, right, of having
Right.
a
Yeah.
sighting.
Absolutely. And I think if you, and honestly, I think if you go to an area a lot, you know, that, and you're having these encounters over and over and over again, these creatures they'll get used to you,
Hmm.
you know, because I think I mean, you know, some people can read a room better than others, you
Hmm.
know, and, you know, horses and dogs and cats, they can all sense, you know, intention.
Right.
I don't think these critters are any different.
Right.
I really don't.
Exactly. Hmm.
If you go out in their area and you do not have their best interests at heart, you probably are not going to see a hide nor hair of them.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Exactly. Agreed.
but
I'm
if
always
you,
out there. I mean, of course, I'm looking for structures. I'm looking for footprints, but I'm also looking at mushrooms. I'm
Yeah.
looking at animals. I'm looking at flowers. You know, I'm just looking and enjoying nature. while I'm
exactly,
there. You know,
and I think that's the most important thing, really.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just get out there and enjoy that. That's what I like going.
yes,
You know,
yes, it's
I've
good
gotten
for
to
the
the point
soul.
where
It's good for the soul.
I don't. Yeah, I don't care if I see a Bigfoot. I don't care if I have an encounter. I just enjoy. It's like going fishing. I don't care if I catch anything but a buzz. I'm happy. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But,
I have to be out there every weekend. I have to
Yeah.
be in the woods. That is my happy place. So
Me too. Me
Mhm.
too. I totally agree. And I
Mhm.
wish I got to my happy place more often.
Yeah, I have to enjoy my happy place right now while it's kind of comfortable still.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to
Yeah.
end for us like in May. It's going to be total misery.
Yeah.
But so right
Yeah.
now,
And we deal with that same thing.
camp
We
a
do.
lot. I'm trying to go out camping a lot while I can, while it's cool, while it's less bugs, and you know. So
I love late fall and winter camping. Absolutely love it
mhm.
because you can sit around the fire and you don't have to worry about fighting off the bugs.
Yes,
You don't necessarily have to worry as much about snakes,
right,
you know,
right.
because we're like y'all, you know, we got we got you know, we got our share of nasty snakes too. So,
Yep, yep.
but well, Marie, on behalf of the girls, I really appreciate you coming on, and I hope someday down the line I'll get in touch with you, and you'll come over on my show and we'll talk.
You have
You
your
know.
own shoe?
Oh yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that was the name of it.
Texas Front Porch, my front porch.
Okay,
TX
I've
Apocalypse.
heard that. I've heard that before.
Oh
Yeah.
well, that's me.
All
That's
right,
me.
then have me on. We
I
talk-
will. I will. So, if people want to hit you up to maybe go out with you or something, not on a date, out in the woods. Of course, that may be her date. I don't know. But if they wanted to get in touch with you down there in Florida, how would they go about it?
Okay,
Or do
so
you do that? Do you take people out?
yeah, if people want to. I mean,
Right.
yeah, whenever like say you were coming down to Florida, be like, come on, let's go. You know, I'll take you out or whatever. I get people asking me all the time. So I'm the founder of the Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group. That's on
There you
Facebook,
go.
and we also have a YouTube channel by the same name, Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group,
There you go.
on Instagram. And I have a website. It's midfloridabigfoot.com. There you can look at the research gallery. You can see all the cool kind of things
Nice.
that we have found, things we've done. There's also a press media section where I post the publications, all the podcasts, things like that I've been on. My team and I have been on. And I also have my own show on the Channel 12 TV network. It's called the Bigfoot Research Show. And that's where I just started the podcast, and I speak to field researchers around the country to find out what works for them, what doesn't work for them in their state. Because I'm willing to learn, you know.
That you have to be. You have to be.
It's like, I'd love to know, you know, some cool trick, some cool thing maybe you do in Texas or Oklahoma because I'd like to try that here in Florida and see if I can get the same results as you do.
Yeah, vice versa.
So
Yeah.
I've had 3 shows already, and it's really interesting because you always learn something like, ooh, I never thought about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's make a deal. You come on my show, I'll come on yours.
There you go. You can come on for Oklahoma. Or
Oklahoma,
Texas.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's right there. It's
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Oklahoma, but I live in Texas. But
yeah, that sounds good. So we got Instagram, Facebook, my website, and Channel 12 TV network. So
when y'all go over there and hit the subscribe button and all that good stuff, and tell them and mention me. But this is the Blonde Show. So tell them the Blonde sent you, and check that apart in it too.
Yeah, our videos on YouTube are very short. They're like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes tops.
Okay,
we're not out there filming us talking about how great we are or something for 40 minutes. No, straight to the point. I'm showing you something specific. Right. So it's usually 1 minute to like 3 minute long videos, very short, just to show you some real cool thing that we just found or whatever. So,
that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Again, Maria, it was an honor meeting you. Thank you for coming on the show. I told you we'd get through this, didn't I?
Of course.
So yeah, I know you were like, oh God.
I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
She didn't
Am I in the wrong place? But we'll get together and then stay in touch and we'll work stuff out.
Sounds good. All right.
I'd like to show you, that show your mind and show yours,
Yeah, right. Show and tell.
But y'all go see her and tell her we sent you, and we'll talk to y'all later. Go show her some love. Y'all be safe out there. And tomorrow's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Y'all have a good weekend.
Thank you.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.